Welcome to Minghui Radio's Falun Gong News, direct from China and around the world. Topics include news about the persecution of Falun Gong in China, local events, and special items of interest. Now for this week's stories.
From the Minghui Editorial Board, call for articles to commemorate World Falun Dafa Day. The 27th World Falun Dafa Day will take place on May 13th. This year marks the 34th anniversary of Falun Dafa's introduction to the public by Master Li, the founder of the practice. Zhuan Falun, the main text of Falun Dafa, was published 31 years ago. The severe persecution of Falun Dafa by the Chinese Communist Party has been ongoing for 27 years. At this historic moment, we sincerely invite you to document this extraordinary journey through articles, artwork, and music. Submissions will be accepted now through April 15th, with an extended deadline for photographic works, which will be accepted until the end of this year's World Falun Dafa Day celebrations. The theme this year is Our Story. Topics to consider include why we took up cultivation, why practicing Falun Dafa is so important to us, what positive changes Falun Dafa has brought us, how do we handle issues in our families, workplaces, and communities as Falun Dafa practitioners, how our gratitude toward Falun Dafa and Master Li has become deeper and more rational throughout the past 27 years of suppression. Representatives of overseas human rights organizations have said that it is Falun Dafa practitioners who truly represent China, the Chinese spirit, and Chinese culture, not the CCP. Please share your thoughts. By writing down our own stories and those of other practitioners around us, we can help more people get to know Falun Dafa and its guiding principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. There are no genre restrictions. Literature submissions may include personal experiences, reflections, poetry, interviews, and collections of local short stories. Artwork submissions might include photography, painting, calligraphy, and seal carving. Please include professional specifications. The mixed media classification includes original music compositions. World Falun Dafa Day is a celebration for everyone. Falun Dafa practitioners from all ethnic groups around the world, as well as anyone who agrees with truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, can celebrate together by sharing tales of happiness and hope. To submit an article, follow the instructions which can be accessed through the Contact Us link on the English Minghui website. Submissions should include the author's name, country and city of residence, and email address.
USA, the mayors of 4 cities in South Florida presented proclamations to Shenyun Performing Arts on behalf of their city councils after the mayor of Wilton Manors issued a proclamation declaring February 2026 as Shenyun Performing Arts Month. The officials congratulated Shenyun Performing Arts on the company's 20th anniversary and welcomed its return to South Florida. Mayor Joy Cooper of Hollandale Beach presented a proclamation to Shenyun Performing Arts on March 4th. It read in part, Shenyun Performing Arts is the world's premier classical Chinese dance and music company, whose mission is to revive China's rich 5,000-year-old culture. The ancient Chinese believe their culture was divinely inspired, thus their performances bring to life the glory of China's ancient myths and legends that not only entertains but educates, enriches, and inspires, offering audiences of all ages a powerful and rare experience. Ancient Chinese artists believe that to create true art, there must be beauty and purity. Today, the artists of Shenyun follow this noble tradition by immersing themselves in meditation, studying the classics, and adopting the virtues of the ancients into their daily lives. Shenyun continues to delight the hearts of Florida communities since 2007 and contributes to cultural diversity as it provides an unforgettable experience. Honors also came from Mayor Angelo Castello of Pembroke Pines, Mayor Stephen Arnest of Oakland Park, and Mayor Don Miller of Hillsborough Beach.
Canada. A lively St. Patrick's Day parade took place in the city of Ottawa on March 7th. Nearly 600 people from various groups participated in the nearly mile-long event, and the Tianguo Marching Band was one of them. They played 8 songs, and their performance impressed the host and parade attendees. Parade attendee Tom Flood is of Irish descent. He praised the Tianguo Marching Band and said it was great to see it in the parade. He said, "The band is wonderful. They are very festive. This is a remarkable parade, and it's nice to see all cultures here." Thomas O'Neill, the president of the Irish Society of the National Capital Region, which hosted the parade, thanked practitioners for joining the festivities. Yang Yang from Montreal joined the Tianguo Marching Band 12 years ago and said, "As a Falun Dafa practitioner, I cherish the principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance. Our music carries energy, and it brings people blessings."
Taiwan. Falun Dafa practitioners participated in the Tianchuan Day celebration in Hsinchu County on March 8th. About 2,000 people from 55 groups performed during the parade in Xingpu Township. Spectators applauded the Tianguo Marching Band, waist drum performances, and fairy team. Tianchuan Day is held on the 20th day of the first lunar month and is related to the legend that Nuwa, the goddess who helped humanity, mended the sky with stones. Xingpu Township is also famous for its lanterns. Falun Dafa was the largest group participating in the event. Spectators said they could feel energy in the music and enjoyed the melodies very much. The director of the Tianguo Marching Band, Huang Shunu, explained that the band was established in 2006. 3 teams located in northern, central, and southern Taiwan total over 500 members. The band gives hundreds of performances both inside and outside of Taiwan. Store owners on the street came out to watch the parade. One woman who immigrated from Vietnam over 10 years ago said, "I never thought a marching band could be so beautiful. The music is wonderful."
Romania. Falun Dafa practitioners gathered in the town of Sainia on February 27th through March 1st to share their cultivation experiences. They also set up an information booth to introduce the practice to the public and raise awareness about the ongoing brutal persecution in China. The practitioners handed out flyers, demonstrated the exercises, and collected signatures for a petition to the G7+7 countries to stop the persecution. Their activities received support, and many people said they hope Falun Dafa's core values are promoted in society. They also encouraged practitioners to continue exposing the persecution. Adrian from Bucharest commented, "The Chinese are remarkable. They should not have to go through such brutality under any circumstances. I believe it is the Chinese Communist Party committing crimes. It is pathetic and heartbreaking." Retiree Morella said, "I'm glad I stopped to see you do the exercises. I like them and I really want to learn Falun Dafa." She continued, "Without kind people, the world would not progress. It is normal and natural to be good and to love. That is what characterizes us. I say this is what truly defines a human being."
The Netherlands. The Hague is internationally renowned as the seat of the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, and is the political heart of the country. As the only major Dutch city situated directly on the North Sea, The Hague enjoys convenient transportation links and has become a popular destination for international visitors. Falun Dafa practitioners held activities at The Hague in mid-February to introduce the practice and raise public awareness about the persecution. After seeing the exercise demonstration and the display boards, a resident commented, "You are very calm. This is a strong contrast with the noisy surroundings." He signed a petition calling for an end to the CCP's persecution and soon returned to read the display boards. A practitioner told him where practitioners provide free exercise training. He expressed interest and said he would try it. 2 women from the US were very interested in Falun Dafa. They asked where they could learn how to do the exercises and were told about the nearest group practice site. One said, "What you do is important. Let more people know about this."
New Zealand. The very first Asian Pacific Festival in Wanganui, North Island, was held on March 1st. The event drew visitors from across the region. Performers from Japan, Korea, Thailand, the Philippines, India, Ukraine, and other groups took the stage, creating a vibrant showcase of multicultural traditions. Falun Dafa practitioners contributed to the celebration with waist drum performances, a dragon dance, traditional dances, and the music of the guzheng, an ancient Chinese zither. Many attendees said they appreciated the practitioners' participation. Practitioners also had a booth at the festival to introduce Falun Dafa to the community. Many people paused to watch the exercise demonstrations, and some learned the exercises from practitioners. The Art of Jian Shanren exhibition was also displayed in the auditorium and showed how Falun Dafa is practiced around the world. The artwork also helped raise awareness of the CCP's persecution of the practice in China. Multicultural Council Chairperson Pushpa Prasad said that she and her husband saw a Shenyang performance and were impressed by Falun Dafa's guiding principles, truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance. She said she hopes these principles bring joy to the Wanganui community. Art exhibition visitor Maori Elder Jason Hirwini said he had a connection to China through his bloodline. He identified with the consequence of persecution, especially as it reverberates through families, and expressed solidarity after viewing the paintings. The elder said, "Thank you very much for sharing Falun Dafa with me."
The following are selected cases of persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China. A woman in Jilin province died on March 2, 2026, after enduring decades of persecution for her faith in Falun Gong. Ms. Guo Shouqing was in her 70s after the CCP launched a nationwide campaign against Falun Gong in July 1999. Ms. Guo held firm to her faith and was repeatedly arrested and tortured. In 2005, police officers subjected her to verbal abuse and beatings. At the police station, they force-fed her mustard oil and restrained her in a tiger bench torture device. Not long after, she was given 1 year of forced labor. After that, she also spent an undetermined time in forced re-education. In 2015, Ms. Guo and many other practitioners were harassed and arrested for filing criminal complaints against former Chinese dictator Jiang Zemin. Over the years leading to her death, the police showed up at her home many times, only to find her husband, who was arrested and detained a few times even though he was not a Falun Gong practitioner.
The Liaoning Province Superior Court ruled this month that the suspended pension benefits must be returned to a married couple in Panjin City. They received the money within 10 days of the ruling. Mr. Kai Jianqin, 89, and his wife, Ms. Shi Guoxin, 84, are both retired. Mr. Kai worked in the education section, and Ms. Shi is a retired physician. Their pension benefits were stopped in 2020 because they were unable to pay back a combined 270,000 yuan pension issued to them during their 3-year prison sentence for practicing Falun Gong. The couple were told that their pension could only be reinstated after they paid off their debt. The Chinese Constitution, the Social Security Insurance Law, the Labor Law, and the Protection of the Rights and Interests of Elderly People all protect retirees' pension benefits. No law stipulates that Falun Gong practitioners should have their pensions suspended while serving wrongful terms for their faith.
Mr. Tian Xingbao from Shenzhou City was admitted to prison in 2019 to serve a 10-year term for practicing Falun Gong. Since that time, he has been denied visits with his family. Mr. Tian was only allowed to call his family once a month. However, his family hasn't received any calls from him for the past 6 months. Mr. Tian was arrested 8 years ago after a surveillance camera recorded him putting up Falun Gong posters. When Mr. Tian's 2 lawyers went to the detention center to visit him, the guards initially denied their request. The lawyers pointed out that this was illegal and said they would file a lawsuit. Only then did the guards allow them to meet with Mr. Tian. During the court hearing, Mr. Tian and his 2 lawyers defended his constitutional right to freedom of belief. Mr. Tian maintained that practicing Falun Gong did not violate any law and that following the principles of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance would make society a better place.
When Ms. Jiu Li's family was finally allowed to visit her in prison, they saw an emaciated woman. She could not lift one of her hands, but was still forced to do hard labor for over 10 hours a day. Ms. Jiu of Dalian City is serving a 3.5-year term for her faith in Falun Gong. Her family are calling for attention to her ordeal. Prior to her latest persecution, Ms. Jiu was arrested 10 years ago and later sentenced to 4 years. She endured brutal torture and sexual assault in prison. Ms. Jiu, a former head nurse, was arrested in 2023 for talking to people about Falun Gong. She failed the required physical examination, but the detention center still admitted her. Given her persistent medical conditions, the guards released her days later and put her on house arrest for 6 months. The police later resubmitted Ms. Jiu's case and harassed her while she was waiting for a verdict.
Community events provide opportunities to share Falun Dafa in Australia. Melbourne's Chinese and Vietnamese communities held a series of Lunar New Year celebrations from late January through early March this year. Falun Dafa practitioners brought a joyful spirit to the celebrations, and their graceful performances added to the festive atmosphere and drew warm applause from the crowds. Practitioners performed and introduced Falun Dafa at the East Meets West Lunar New Year Festival 2026 in Footscray on January 25th. The Waist Drum team performed at the Victoria Street Lunar Festival 2026 in Richmond on February 1st. A lively temple fair was held at Braybrook in western Melbourne on Lunar New Year's Eve, February 16th, drawing people together to welcome the new year. The Falun Dafa practitioners' Waist Drum team was invited to kick off the fair and later paraded through the fairgrounds several times. Their bright golden costumes stood out against the evening lights, and the team's changing formations moved in sync with powerful drum beats. Their performance drew crowds of onlookers, many stopping to watch, take photos, and cheer. Their energetic display became one of the highlights of the night's celebrations. The Tianguo Marching Band was invited to play at the 2026 Vietnamese Tet Lunar Festival in Footscray Park on February 28th and March 1st. The band's performance was warmly applauded. Falun Dafa practitioners also set up an information booth at the Glen Waverley Lunar New Year and Lantern Festival 2026 on March 1st. The annual Hyde Park Festival was held in the city of Perth on March 1st and 2nd. Falun Dafa practitioners were invited to participate. They introduced the universal values of truthfulness, compassion, and forbearance, and raised awareness of the CCP's persecution. Practitioners demonstrated the Falun Dafa exercises on stage, performed with the large drums and waist drums. They also did the dragon, fan, and Vietnamese traditional conical hat dances. The event, which was hosted by the Rotary Club of North Perth, and supported by the City of Vincent, featured over 50 food stalls, 200 market stalls, rides suitable for all ages, a variety of family-friendly activities, live music, dance groups, and cultural performances. Many people visited the Falun Dafa booth, listened to practitioners' introduction of the practice and how the CCP persecutes it. They signed a petition calling for an end to the human rights abuses. Rhonda signed the petition and shared her view of communism. She said, the CCP is good at spreading false information and controlling dissidents strictly. She said she's talked about it with Chinese friends and other people who fled China. When booth visitors Jan Brown and her daughter Peta learned about the persecution, Jan said encouragingly, "Stay strong. In our Maori culture, it is called kia kaha, which means to be strong." On March 9th, practitioners introduced Falun Dafa during the Begonia Festival parade on Victorian Labor Day in the city of Ballarat. Hundreds of begonias were on display, and the parade was the highlight of the celebration. As the practitioners' parade contingent passed the stage, the hosts introduced Falun Dafa. One explained that it is based on the principles of truthfulness, compassion, forbearance, which is very beneficial to society. The other host commended practitioners for their efforts in presenting a dragon dance, an exercise demonstration, celestial maidens, and a waist drum performance. She was impressed by the costumes, drums, and banners and said, "They have absolutely done an amazing job." She also said she wanted to know more about Falun Dafa.
Theatergoers appreciate Shenyun's spirituality. Shenyun Performing Arts continued its world tour with performances in Australia, Austria, Spain, Germany, France, and the United States during the end of February into the beginning of March. Audience members were deeply moved. Spanish Member of Parliament Alberto Fabra Part saw Shenyun in the town of San Lorenzo on February 26th. He said all the artists and members of the orchestra demonstrated an extremely high level of professionalism. It was truly impressive. I believe it deeply touched each and every one of us. The mayor of Torrelodones, Elmodina Negro, also saw Shenyun there. She said, from an artistic angle, I think this absolutely was a miracle. I completely have no doubt that this is top world class. Basque parliamentarian Mikel Arubarina Azapatarta saw Shenyun in the city of Bilbo on March 3rd. He said encouragingly, "You are doing essential work. You are the voice of the real China. Keep it up. Best of luck." Claude Lamy is a professor emeritus at the Charles Gerhardt Institute at Montpellier University in Montpellier, France. He saw Shenyun performance on March 7th and shared, "I've seen a few Chinese shows, but I've never seen anything as exceptional as this." In Germany, university professor Matthias Kasek and his wife saw Shenyun in the city of Mulheim on March 7th. Professor Kasek said, from an artistic angle, the discipline in the dancing and everything presented by these young people on stage were truly unbelievable. What was more outstanding was the message behind the performance, a long-standing culture and a culture with religious depth. It made you feel hope and salvation. Prior to Shenyun's performances in Australia, a local organizer received a bomb threat that forced the nation's prime minister to evacuate. However, local theatergoers were not discouraged and filled the seats of the 6 performances at the dance company's first stop, Gold Coast. In Melbourne, Australia, member of the Victorian Legislative Council, David Limbrick, saw Shenyun on March 6th. This was his 4th time seeing the dance company perform, and he stated, "It's an amazing production. With respect to the threats targeting Shenyun," he said, "this is unacceptable in a free society. To try and intimidate people into not taking part in going to a show or whatever they want to do. I hope that the authorities get to the bottom of it quickly." In the U.S., Nevada State Senator Dina Neal saw Shenyun in Las Vegas on March 8th. She issued a proclamation honoring Shenyun for their dedication to the arts. Nevada Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony and his wife also watched Shenyun in Las Vegas. He said it was very uplifting. It just reminds you that it's God that created the world, God that gave people their rights and liberties, and we need to be reminded of that. and I think everybody I see around here really enjoyed the show. The Lieutenant Governor added, "It's one of the best shows I've ever seen."
Thank you for listening to the Minghui Radio Podcast. For more information, including news about the persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China and experience sharing stories by practitioners around the world, please visit our website at en.minghui.org.